I mean, yeah, there's a lot of great artists out there, but if you're actually going to pick your very favourite, I mean, to me, no one plays a guitar quite like Eric Clapton. I mean, yeah, that's a good one, but if you're going to pick your very favourite artist, who would yours be? Yeah? Yeah? That's a good one. See, I'm going to go with that too. I'd probably go David Bowie as well. Best artist, just as an individual, not including bands. Yeah, I do have all his albums. I'm very lucky. On vinyl as well. Yeah? You'd like to see me do a complete vinyl collection video on him? It's not a bad idea for a video, Maisie. So then, today we're going to be doing my complete David Bowie vinyl collection. To the record room. Hey, so then, here we are. Oh, probably best get dressed first as well. Still in my pyjamas. 1 minute.
This is ground control to Major Tom.
So, hello and yes, welcome back to another video, guys. It is a very, very big video today. One which I've been working a whole year on to bring you. But eventually it's taken me a whole year to get complete on the wonderful David Bowie. And as soon as I did get complete on him, I got quite a few people say to me, when's the video coming out? Because, you know, I let a few people know. I got really excited, like, just ordered the last David Bowie LP, and now I am complete. And I got quite a few people saying, when's the video coming? And as I say, David Bowie probably is my personal favourite musician. I mean, as I say, it's hard to talk about, because when you start including bands, obviously you've got like Led Zeppelin, the Beatles, fantastic. You know, I love Eric Clapton. You know, Tom Petty is a great artist. Paul McCartney has a great solo career as well. And George Harrison. But I really do love Bowie. I think he probably is, if you talk about solo career, my favourite artist. And yeah, my dog also has that in common with me as well, as you see in the intro there. She loves Bowie. She's a great Bowie fan. So I'm doing this video for her. Anyway, so as I say, I do have every Bowie studio album here on vinyl. So if you only really know the 70s stuff and you want to get to know Bowie a bit more, know what order to put his records in, stick around, because I'm pretty sure this is in chronological order of release. Might be one or two which need switching around, but I went through Wikipedia just before I started filming, put them all in the proper order, so this is all in chronological order, I hope. I have most of the live albums, most of the compilations, most of the soundtracks as well. I have all the essential stuff, I'd say, but I'll quickly show you the pile though, just to show you how much stuff we got to go over. Yeah, there we go. As you can see, there's a lot for Bowie. So anyway, without a doubt, let's get started. So anyway, David Bowie, unfortunately, very sadly, passed away last year. And it really was one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever experienced, really. I've only really had one close relative pass away, and that was also last year. But that was after Bowie. So Bowie, really, for me, this is going to sound a bit silly, because I know personal loss is something which a lot of people get used to. I've been very lucky in my life. As I say, I only had my first personal loss, you know, last year after Bowie. So it was my first massive idol gone. You know, I was alive, of course. I was born in 1997, so I was around when people like George Harrison went and whatnot. But I was so young, didn't even know who he was. Wasn't listening to him at the time, obviously. Well, I only would have been 4. Or 5. I think I would have been 5, actually, thinking about it. So yeah, it was the first big idol that I'd lost. And I remember buying Black Star the night before. I said, you know what, I'm going to order this. I watched the music video and loved it. Woke up the next morning, read the news, and then of course my vinyl was delayed and I didn't get it for like 2 weeks. So yeah, and I had about 10 to 15 of these records before Bowie passed away, so I already really liked him. I just hadn't sat down and said I'm going to get them all. When he passed away, it was really bad timing, of course, because that's when I said, man, I've got to get his albums, I've got to get some more. So that's what I've done. It's taken me a year because, you know, they've shot up in value, unfortunately, because of his passing, and there was a lot to get. So it's taken me a whole year to do this collection, a whole year. It's probably one of the collections I spent the most time on. But I'm very happy I've got them all. There's a couple originals in here, and then there's a couple reissues. To be honest, I just wanted nice sounding copies of these albums. So that's what I've done. So anyway, let's get started. First one up actually was sent to me by a very good friend of mine here when I won his contest, Ben Simpson. And, you know, he said to me, okay, James, you won the contest. What record do you want? And at the time, I thought, you know, I'm getting close to being complete on Bowie. It's about time I ordered this. So let's have it. The debut album by David Bowie, self-titled. Yeah, this is actually a really good record. Very underrated one. You can really see the starting point here of what would become such a legendary career. City Boy Blues on here. That's a really good track. Probably most well-known one because it was put on the recent compilation. And then there's some other good tracks on here. You know, Rubber Band's a good track. But this is a really cool copy of the vinyl because it's a double vinyl. You get the same album twice, but one of the vinyls is in mono and the other one is in stereo. So that's really nice, actually. So, very nice there. And then, of course, we have second album up, the album which really made him. This is the album which put him out there. And, you know, technically self-titled again, I guess. But we're going to go ahead and call it the Space Odyssey. Because, wow, what an album and what a song. And Space Odyssey is one of the most iconic songs ever. You know, people talk about the Beatles changing music a lot. And they did. The Beatles created this whole new style of music. But then Bowie went and changed it again. You know, Bowie was the next thing after the Beatles, which started changing music, in my opinion. This song here was so creative, so cool. It is just wow. And I love the cover. I mean, look at that. That is such a badass cover. But I mean, that's not the only good song on this album, of course. The whole album is good. This is a really beat-up copy, which I really could do with an upgrade on. Which is why I bought the reissue, because I wanted the other cover, and I wanted a nice clean copy of the album. This is a bit of a beat-up copy of Space Oddity again, but with the other cover. I don't like this cover as much. Bowie looks like he's losing hair or something in that photo. Or he's, you know, going to play the part of a scarecrow. Wurzel Gummidge or something. But yeah, there's a lot of other great stuff on here. I love Genie. God Knows I'm Good is a really good song as well. Yeah, it's a great album. And then this is the second or third Bowie record I ever got. And I hate it. Because this is like, honestly, my collection is in pretty good condition from here on, I promise you. I really try to buy good condition records now. I bought this one about 4 years ago when I was still going around charity shop buying records. And it's so beat up. As soon as I can find an upgrade, I'm taking it and I'm actually just going to get rid of this copy because it's so beat up. But it's the compilation, The World of David Bowie. And it doesn't look that bad on the cover. The cover's fine and the record is actually okay. The record plays fine. So when you look at the back, I mean, you've got writing up here. The person is actually crossed off because the previous owner was trying to do a collection. But, it's horrible, horrible condition, this one. But anyway, I hope one day to get, you know, another cleaner copy of this. And again, it's just a lot of early stuff again here. You've got Silly Boy Blue again on here. Yeah, just same old kind of early stuff. But there's no Laughing Gnome on here, which is one of my very favourite Bowie songs, believe it or not. It's such a stupid song, but that does appear on a compilation note at some point, which we'll get to. And then here we get, this is a remaster, come out in 2016, The Man Who Sold the World, you know. What a great record again. It's fantastic. I remember actually just scrolling onto Amazon one day and I looked at records that were under £10. I thought, I fancy buying a cheap record. And I found this for like £8 direct from Amazon. So it was like, yeah, I'll get that. So the title track is great. Running Gun Blues is a great song. She Shook Me Cold. I like that one. And The Superman. That's quite an interesting song as well. So yeah, very nice. Very cool record. And then here we get on to what most people consider, and me, to be Bowie's masterpiece period. Hunky Dory. Ho 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 ho. Now, Wow, this album. What can I say about this album that hasn't already been said? Nothing, because this album is one of the best albums ever. Opens up with the classic song Changes. Then we get a track called Ooh You Pretty Things. And then we get a track called Life on Mars. Kooks is great. And then I love the song Queen Bitch. Great album. But then again, all the tracks on here are great. The only song I don't really like much is probably Song for Bob Dylan. You know, he done 2 songs on here for 2 of his biggest inspirations, Andy Warhol and Bob Dylan. And, you know, I love Bob Dylan and I love Andy Warhol's work as well. But them 2 songs for some reason just... But this album is so great, it really is. This is one of the best records ever put out. And when I say them 2 songs are a bit like this, they're still very good songs though. And then here we get my personal favourite Bowie album. This is a fantastic David Bowie record. This is a masterpiece record. This is one of them records where you can listen to it from start to finish. There's no bad tracks on it. This is a perfect classic album. Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. The Rise and the Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. I always forget the Rise and the Fall part. But yeah, wow. I mean, such a cool record. And I think this record's really coming back into fashion as well. Mainly because of the films Guardians of the Galaxy, you know. They featured Moon Age Daydream in the first film, and the new one's going to have the track 5 Years in it. So I think that the producers of that film really love this album as well. But I wasn't one of those people who got into this album through that film. I discovered this album before the first one even came out. So yeah, it's just a great record, this one again. 5 Years is a fantastic track. Moon Age Daydream is a fantastic track. Starman is one of the best songs ever. I've already said to my parents, I want that at my funeral, you know. Or I've put it down that will be my funeral song, you know. When I'm going out, I want Starman playing. Just the chorus. Fantastic. I love it. It's such an awesome song. It Ain't Easy is great. The title track, kind of title track, Ziggy Stardust, is, again, it really reminds me of Space Odyssey, where it's like, again, an anthem song. It's just fantastic. Rock and Roll Suicide is great. I love the playing with volume on that song. It's just incredible. So, yeah, there's that. And, of course, Hunky Dory and Ziggy Stardust are both remasters as well. But this is an original, this one, and this is kind of the third of that classic 3-line album from Bowie, and it's Aladdin Sane. Now, we all know this cover, and most people know the tracks on here. It has the Jean Genie on, which is one of his most famous tracks. The title track, Aladdin Sane, 1913, 1938, and 1970, is a great track as well. It's just such a cool record again, this one, and I love the gatefold to it. So, very cool. Here we get what is a bit of a weaker Bowie album, a little bit of a weaker one, but it's still fun. You know, you take it as a fun album. It's a covers album, and it is pin-ups. So, yeah, he does a lot of covers on here. There's a Kinks song. He does The Who, I Can't Explain. She's great. So, yeah, just I think this was kind of one of those records where Bowie was like, yeah, we'll get that out. We'll chat up now. I don't think it's one of the records he's most proud of, but, you know, it's a good record still. It's not bad. And then here we get what is Diamond Dogs. Love that cover. But yeah, this is, again, just a very good, entertaining record here. You know, mine doesn't have the dog's bollocks. But it has a lot of other great things on here. The title track is fantastic. Rebel Rebel. I mean, come on. This is, again, an anthem, really. Rock and Roll With Me. It's great. I love 1984. I know some people are a little bit off and on with that one, but I really like that track. Yeah, the closing track's a bit different, but yeah, really like this record. It's a good record. There's some experimentation in it, but it's a good record. And here we have the double vinyl live album, which is simply called David Live. I love that cover. That's something I want to get framed in one of these. Maybe it could replace my Moody Blues one. I mean, yeah, I'm game for that. I just need to get another copy, because I've got to have a playing copy as well. But yeah, again, you know, just covers the great stuff on here. Actually opens up with 1984 from Diamond Dogs. You know, there's other great things on here. You know, Rebel Rebel, Moon Age Daydream. Yeah, Rock and Roll Suicide at the bottom there. Great track. Great album. Sorry. And then the next one up is the one which he famously worked on with the one and only John Lennon. You know, David Bowie and John Lennon. You know, unfortunately, this was the point when John Lennon was in his retirement phase. So, unfortunately, we didn't get too much pictures of them together, you know, or anything like that. But he is credited. He did play on pretty much every track on here, I believe. And also, he sung on the best track on here, and one of the best closing tracks ever, Fame. So, you know, people hear the song Fame from David Bowie, and they go, wow, that's quite a cool song. But people don't realise that actually a lot of them both backing vocals are John Lennon as well. So that's fantastic. But anyway, Young Americans is a fantastic album. It has one of the best opening tracks, which is Young Americans, and one of the best closing tracks, Fame. And everything in the middle is great as well. This is a really solid album, actually. It's like very good. And he also covers Across the Universe on this album by the Beatles. And first time I heard it, I went, what a load of rubbish. What a load of rubbish. Sorry, David, but I don't like your version of Across the Universe. But it's grown on me. I do quite like it now. It's obviously not as good as the original. We're talking about the Beatles and one of their masterpiece songs here. So, of course, it's not going to be as good as the original. But the more you play it, the more it grows on you, that track. So, I don't mind it. And then, of course, we get what is one of... A lot of people say this is his best album. I don't have it in me to say it's better than Ziggy Stardust or Hunky Dory, but it's up there. It's definitely top 5, at least. And that is Station to Station. And this is an original press as well. Only 5 tracks on here, but they're all brilliant. There's no point reading out my favourites because I love them all. But I will say my very favourite on here is Golden Years. I love that song. And then here, in a very similar format, we got the compilation Changes 1 Bowie. So David Bowie. The Changes, Greatest Hits compilation, and it's the first one. And yeah, again, they've kept the same format. It's kind of cool when you look at it back to back with Station to Station, same match. So yeah, very cool. Can't go wrong there either. No way. Anyway, next one up again. This is an original Italian press of Low. So again, just a great record. Just such an awesome record. You know, some people find it hard to get through this album, believe it or not. I don't get it. I think this whole album is pure geniusness. It's so creative and different, and it's got this energy to it, which I've never heard on any other record. I love the track Sound and Vision. I think Bowie was very fond of that track as well, because he even put a box set out named after Sound and Vision, which I'd love to have, but it's very expensive, so I'm not going to get it. But yeah, it's great. You know, you've only got 4 tracks on the B-side, but still great. You know, Brian Eno works so well with Bowie on this record. And, you know, Brian Eno, I mean, Brian Eno only comes in for, is it just, you know, he's not there throughout the whole album, I don't think. But he's fantastic, Brian Eno. He works so well with Bowie. And that is one of the coolest album covers ever. And then also, this is the first copy of Low I got. It is an unofficial release. That's why I wanted to get an original. It's, again, I believe... Oh, it's a German press on the orange vinyl. So, yeah, it's cool to have, but I wanted to get an official release of the album as well. And then here we've got a reissue from the 80s, I believe, of Heroes. So if you like Low, you'll like this. If you like this, you'll like Low. These albums like go back to back brilliantly. And this album has my favourite song of all time on. Heroes. Not the single version, the long, full-length album version. That is my favourite song of all time. It is, again, an anthem song. You know, when the Olympics was on, us Brits, that was the song we walked out to. It is our anthem almost now. You know, we don't need God Save the Queen by the Sex Pistols. I'm only kidding there. But, you know, we need David Bowie Heroes to be our national anthem now, because it's such an awesome song. Yeah, my favourite song of all time right there. I know it's an easy choice off this album because there's some other brilliant tracks on here as well, but it's so good. And again, Brian Eno working so well with Bowie here. The closing track is great. The whole A side is great. The B side, the four very quirky instrumental tracks. They're strange but fun. They're very good, really. It's more you listen to it, the more it grows on you. And yeah, it's a fantastic record there. Heroes by David Bowie. Right, I'm going to have a quick drink now. Just got some Coke here. Bought this in the cinema last night, so it's probably a bit flat now, but yeah, not too bad. Right, next one up. A very one-off project from Bowie. This is David Bowie narrates Peter and the Wolf. So yeah, this is him just telling the story of Peter and the Wolf, where you've got this Eugene Ormandy conducting a symphony orchestra in the background. Yeah, it's for the collection, this purely. I have played it on YouTube, and it sounded quite good, I can't lie. Very interesting. Bowie has a great voice, even when he's just talking. And yeah, it's an interesting listen. And then here, this one you can get cheap as chips. I think I only paid like £5 with free postage on eBay for this. But this is David Bowie's Stage, another double vinyl live album. And yeah, kind of similar to David Live, just got some different track listing. But then some tracks do pop up again on here. You know, Ziggy Stardust, Star. So there's a lot of new ones on here. Heroes is on here, so that's nice. But yeah. And here we get an album called Lodger. Never know which way to hold this up. I guess the actual way is that way. So, Lodger. Everyone always gives this album a bad time. And I can't lie, I was guilty of it for a while. It's not a bad album, actually. I love it. Boys Keep Swinging is a great track. I really like that. And yeah, I can't really name the songs off by heart on this album because I'm not massively familiar with it. But it's a good album, actually. It's very enjoyable. And yeah, why people want to put it down, I don't know. Could have done with a better cover, though. And now we move into the 80s. And for a lot of these classic rock musicians, the 80s, you know, kicked them about a bit, you know. Even my favourites, you know, you look at people like Paul McCartney and Eric Clapton, in the 80s really beat them about. And Bowie did get a bit pushed about to the second half of the 80s, but he went into the 80s incredibly strong, especially with this album here, Scary Monsters. Almost forgot the title now. That could have been embarrassing. But wow, I mean, honestly, again, what a record. Again, some people like to put this album down. I love it. Ashes to Ashes is still probably in my top 10 Bowie songs. I love that song. Fashion is great, a little bit creepy, but I love it. Scary Monsters, the title track, is brilliant. Yeah, it's again just a great record. The A-side, especially, is just incredible. I do love this record, and I love the little throwbacks in the pictures you can see here. You know, really cool. Next record up from Bowie is quite hard to get, but you know you've got to get it to be complete, really, because there's new Bowie material on here, and that is the Labyrinth soundtrack. Of course, I actually have the Blu-ray over there. You know, David Bowie went ahead and starred in this film. People talked to him about doing this part before, and eventually I think his manager just said, why don't you go and give it a go? And he did, and it was a great film, and people love Bowie in this role. And I mean, look at how awesome he looks. Let me get that up close on the camera. He looks great, and I love that poster. It looks like almost someone like who done the Star Wars films designed that poster with all the characters on the cover, which I love. I love getting a load of characters on the cover. So yeah, I mean, I really love the track Magic Dance. Bit silly. I love it. Yeah, it's a great record. Really good album. The instrumental pieces are great as well. So yeah, good album there. Good album. Next one up is compilation Changes to Bowie. So this is the second one. This is the one which I bought this way before he died, like a couple years before he died. This was one of my very first Bowie records again. So I'm actually more familiar with this one than the very famous first one. But yeah, again, great stuff on here. He actually goes back and picks up a few songs which weren't on the first one, like Ooh You Pretty Things. Starman. Very shocking that wasn't on the first one. And then, of course, he picks up some other great tracks that came after. Ashes to Ashes, Sound and Vision, Fashion. So, again, great compilation there. And then here we've got an iconic 80s album. This is the one that he'll be remembered for when it comes to the 80s. Even though I prefer Scary Monsters myself. I do like Scary Monsters a bit more, but Let's Dance, you know. The title track is great. You've got China Girl on here. You know, again, just a great record. It really is. You know, and I love the cover as well. Love these characters that Bowie was creating. I mean, he wasn't really creating characters too much here at this stage, but like, even on the covers, there would always be something a bit different with him, you know, and it's great. I love it. Next one up is, again, quite a common record. This is songs from the motion picture Ziggy Stardust. Double album, you know. Very, very cool. Very cool. And yeah, I got very lucky on this one because it's very nice condition. And I love the track listing on here, you know, great. This is the album from Bowie, which I always tend to forget, if I'm being honest. I always forget this one's here. I always remember Never Let Me Down, because people love to give that one a hard time, and I don't mind it. But this one here is just kind of like, oh yeah, I kind of forget about that one. But anyway, I actually bought this one before he died as well. So, yeah, again, it's not a bad record. It's just one of those, it's there. Tonight. Yeah, it's an interesting album, but I don't even know what songs come off it that were popular. I think the Loving the Alien was quite a big one. Yeah, I don't really know, to be honest, much about this record. It's one of the Bowie albums which I'm not too interested in. I played it a couple times, and both times I played it, I remember just being like, yeah, but it's alright, it's alright. Okay, so then before we get to Never Let Me Down, we have a compilation here, and this is one of my favourite Bowie compilations because it has The Laughing Gnome on. The Laughing Gnome is such a bad song, really. I think even Bowie hated it. But it's so funny. My dad loves it as well. We just get it right. You know, we just burst into tears laughing when we hear it. We love it. It's a fun, innocent, stupid song. That's all you got to take it for. And I do like it. And this is the Collector's Series, the David Bowie collection. And it's the opening track. There it is, The Laughing Gnome. Stupid, but it's fun. Yeah, and you got some other tracks on here. City Boy Blue appearing again. Seems like that was the one which Bowie loved of his early career. So yeah, go on, keep putting that one on there. And again, just a lot of the same old remixed, very early songs. But yeah, very cool. And also I'm going to quickly throw this in. Why not? It's my 12-inch single to Dancing in the Street by David Bowie and Mick Jagger. Yeah, you could have done without that, Bowie, if I'm being honest. But anyway, here it is, Never Let Me Down, the album which I've been talking about for, you know, it's come up a couple times now. Yeah, people really don't like this. This is like Bowie's weakest album to most people. For me, I'd probably say I prefer it to Tonight a bit. It's got something about it, actually, where it's just enjoyable. It's innocent fun. I don't get why people want to put albums like this down all the time. So again, I'm going to say Paul McCartney. People love to put Press to Play down. It's just an innocent album. You know, it's not meant to be great. It's not meant to be a masterpiece. Just take it as an innocent, fun album. It's same with Eric Clapton, Behind the Sun. And this is David Bowie's Press to Play and Behind the Sun. It's an innocent, fun 80s album. Don't take it too seriously, and you can actually have fun with it. You know, I know Bowie has had classic albums, so comparing it to them, of course it's rubbish. But don't compare it to them, because it's a fun, innocent album. I do have fun with it. Okay, next project from Bowie. Wrapping up the 80s here. My dad's going to come upstairs hoovering now. Really? Really? And now the phone's going off as well. Don't know if you can hear that. But yeah, Bowie had a new project in mind for the end of the 80s, and that was a band called Tin Machine. And in the recent BBC documentary on Bowie, about the last 5 years of his life, but it was really about 10, which was great, they actually poked fun at this one a bit, which is kind of funny, really. But yeah, I can't lie, I'm not the biggest fan of Tin Machine. I'd rather listen to Never Let Me Down than this, if I'm being completely honest. I like the title track. Under the God was good. You know, it's one of them albums that's Working Class Heroes, good as well. But and then in between the Tin Machine albums, we got the compilation Changes, Bowie, double vinyl, and yeah, they just basically bung. Well, I'm not too sure actually. Someone will have to let me know in the comments here. I actually haven't really looked into this too much. I don't know if they just combined the two greatest hit packages that we already had. I don't think they have. I think this is a complete new lineup of songs, but I could be wrong. But anyway, I've got it. So yeah. Then here we have Tin Machine 2. So yeah. Similar feelings towards the first one. I respect Bowie for saying, okay, the first one didn't go over great, let's try it again. Anyway, you know, it didn't work. So, but we gotta respect the man for trying. You know, he tried. Anyway, so back onto proper studio albums from Bowie now. Probably Bowie's rarest record, and that is Black Tie, White Noise. Very hard record to get, but I really do like this album. It's a good album. Very creative, very experimental. Does some covers on here as well. You know, he does I Feel Free, which is a Cream song. What else does he do? I Know It's Gonna Happen Someday, which is a Morrissey song. You know, it's a good record, this one. I like it. So, yeah. Just wish they'd reissue it so people can get to know it a bit more. Next one up is incredibly rare as well. This is Accepts From the Outside. Yeah, I know there's a more complete version of this album, but this is I think this is basically the backbone of the album, and I hear a lot of people complaining about the full-length one, feeling it's a bit bloated. So anyway, to be honest, I wasn't fussed. If I got the full-length one, I'd be happy. If I got this length one, I'd be happy. This album is so rare today, it's like, whatever, I'll take either. I just want to own a copy of the songs which are on both. You know, if I get the one with extras, great. I didn't. I just got this one. But I'm really not fussed, to be honest. But this is a great album. I really enjoyed it. A lot of fun. Next record I've actually left out the Blake sleeve because this is a pretty cool triple gatefold. So I really wanted to show you guys this one. This is Earthling by David Bowie. This is the last record I had to get from Bowie. This is the last one I got. So this is the one I've been waiting for quite a while to do this video. But anyway, this is a really, really cool triple gatefold album. I do really like this album. Has some good stuff on it. Open it up again. Actually, you know how to close this. I love the track I'm Afraid of Americans. It's a great song there. It's on a green vinyl as well, which is very nice. Very, very nice. Now if I could get the sleeve back in, that would be great. There we are, I think. Press it down, get all the air out of the sleeve. Right, also put this bit of cardboard in there just because the sleeve or the spine is really thin and flimsy, so yeah, anyway, put that down there. Don't fall over, don't fall over, it's gonna fall over. Right, stay. Carrying on, I bought this one actually the week after he died. I'd heard this was a great album and I really enjoyed it. Hours, love the cover. I love the book you get in here. This is music on vinyl as well. I took the sleeve that the music on vinyl one come in off because it was annoying. So it's under my bed though, I kept it. But yeah, it's, you know, you can see it's music on vinyl there, so I'm not lying to you. Not the blue colour one, just the black. But yeah, great record again. Love it. Brilliant. So then the next record up, which I think they've just reissued again, is Heathen. Now, I love this cover. Great cover from Bowie. Very strange. Yeah, just again, another really cool album. Really good album. Don't really know what to say about it, to be honest. It's just a really fun, enjoyable record, and one which you're not going to want to miss. So, yeah. And next one up, this was the last album he'd done before his 10-year gap. This came out in 2003. And I love this record. This is an awesome record. Reality. I mean, wow. I did keep the sleeve on this one because this one hasn't got annoying yet. So there you can see music on vinyl. Not the colour version, just the regular one. But it has the book, which is nice. And yeah, I love this record from start to finish. There's not really any standout tracks, if I'm being honest, but from start to finish, it is just pure brilliantness. It's fantastic. Yeah, so pick this up if you haven't already. It's a great album. Then you had the 10-year gap. There was a reality tour box set that come out on blue vinyl, which I haven't got. But yeah, no, that's the only thing which really come out in between this and the next album. And the next album, again, watch that documentary. It was just on BBC to get a good understanding of these next few albums, because they've done a great job of it. Bowie just went in the studio, recorded this album, and then just put it out there for the public. There was like no interviews done for it, no promotion. It was just like, oh, here's a new Bowie record. First time I heard this, I can't lie, I was a bit like, yeah, it's alright. After watching that documentary, I absolutely adore this record. I've got such a better understanding for it. I love it now. This is a fantastic record. This is an incredible record, in fact. And here it is the next day, you know. I love it. It really is. I love what they've done here. They just took the Heroes cover and then just... There we are. Have something else. Yeah. Fantastic stuff. The tracks on here are great. My favourite track on here is probably Valentine's Day. But I love So She, or I'd Rather Be High, The Next Day. You know, really, really good album. Plus you get a CD with it, so you can put it on your phone. And then, of course, in between this and his last album, we also got a 10-inch single. And this is Sue, or In the Seasons of Crime. You know, and the song would also be named on his next album as Sue. It's a pity she was a whore. Yeah, this is a great song, you know. It's a very jazzy song. I love it. This is a fantastic song. Pick this up. It's so cheap on Amazon. Just pick it up. It's great. And of course we get his last album, which is just generally incredible. It's a 10 out of 10 record, really. I should have put this as my favourite album of 2016, because really thinking about it, you know, I put it as my third after Eric Clapton, I Still Do, and Joe Bonamassa, Blues of Desperation. I definitely put this above Eric Clapton, I Still Do now. I do really love Blues of Desperation by Joe Bonamassa, though, but I think this is a more intelligent record. I'll say that. I don't know. I think I would go back on myself and say I'd put this at least 1 or 2. In terms of my favourite albums of 2016. But yeah, it's an awesome record. The book in here is amazing. Everything about this record is great. Black Star's great. Sue's Pity She Was a Whore was a great song. Lazarus is amazing. Probably my favourite track on here. Girl Loves Me is great. Dollar Days is great. You know, really, really is a great record. And very sad one. A lot of meaning to it. But anyway, that's it for this video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. There is my entire David Bowie record collection. I've done it. It's taken me a year to do it. So to the people who requested it, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope my dog Maisie enjoyed it. She's a big Bowie fan. She loves Bowie. Who doesn't know? Who doesn't? Anyway, that is it for this video, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please hit the subscribe button, like the video, and leave a message. And I'll see you guys next time for another video.
Oh, we can be heroes.